Welcome to the Six Hats podcast, where I, Dr. Shami, a lifestyle and nutritional medicine family doctor, will talk about how women strive to find balance each day by juggling their six roles, being a woman, mother, daughter, partner, business owner, and professional. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Six Hats podcast. And I'm really excited to have Alexandra Ossellame join us today. Now, she is a clinical nutritionist based in Melbourne. She graduated from Enlightening College of Natural Health with a degree in health science, majoring in nutritional and dietetic medicine. She's also completing her Master of Human Nutrition at Deakin University. Now, Alexandra also works as a clinical supervisor at Enlightening College of Natural Health, the largest private health college in Australia. What I love about Alexandra is that she understands that every client is unique and requires an individualized approach. She uses food as medicine as a foundational component of every treatment plan. And we love working with her. So Alexandra and I work really well together at Mint. She supplies the nutrients to Mint Clinic, but also for any patient that needs a personalized plan of nutrients or amino acids, we go to Alex. So I'm really excited to chat with Alex today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, Alex, we were thinking what we would love to talk about, and I have to say the first thing that came to mind was magnesium. Yep. And I think every patient that comes to see me learns how so important it is for every part of the body and why it's so important. So I thought this is a great time to actually do a podcast on it. And what a bet, couldn't find a better person than you, Alex, that you've studied it, you've got all the evidence for it. So let's dive into it. But before I do that, I'd love to know, how did you become so passionate about nutrition?
So it actually wasn't my first choice as a profession, believe it or not. I also always wanted to become like an osteo, a chiro, a physio, something with the sport background, manual therapies, but having chronic wrist and hand injuries from fractures, ligament damage, lots of cortisone injections, that was an option. So I studied the next best thing was exercise and sports science at RMIT. Liked it, didn't love it. And I'm the type of person that needs to be all in. And I knew that I wasn't. So I was like, what am I going to do? And then I was lucky enough in my last semester to do a nutrition class and absolutely fell in love with it. And I knew I love working with people. I didn't want to sit in an office. I didn't want to just sit behind a desk and do research. And I found Endeavour. So they're the largest college and you come out from your undergrad as a clinical practitioner. So I studied that, loved it, and utilize a lot of magnesium, but specialize in mental health, which we'll talk about. Magnesium is such an important mineral.
Amazing. Let's go into magnesium. I'd love to start with, if we had to think about the top 3 reasons why magnesium is so important, what would you put in that list?
Well, basically, it's used from like every cell in the body, first and foremost. So it's involved in over 600 chemical reactions, including protein synthesis, cellular energy production, cell growth, reproduction, helps make our DNA and RNA. The list goes on. But from my standpoint, obviously treating mostly clients with, mental health and nervous system dysregulation, it's one of my go-tos, for stress management, depression, anxiety, everything in that little scope of fields.
Amazing. And it's really interesting when you look at the impact of it, and it's so simple. Once you start someone on magnesium, the impact is pretty amazing in terms of feeling calmer, perhaps their sleep is better, and it's like this amazing domino effect. And it's this miracle mineral that people have forgotten. And it's my go-to. I totally agree with you because it's needed for so many chemical reactions and we tend to be quite low in it. And I see it from the other perspective because if someone comes to me and they go, oh, they've got muscle cramps or headaches or insomnia, you'll be always thinking magnesium as well. But I'd love to know, why are so many people deficient in magnesium?
There's a couple of reasons. Also, I say first and foremost, it's how we eat and our soil. So there's obviously a lot of less magnesium in our soil these days. So our magnesium-rich foods as magnesium-rich as they once were, but that's just life. That's just, progression of evolution. And secondly, I think we're becoming a society, becoming more stressed, becoming more busy. We take on, 6 hats in our life, and stress depletes magnesium. And then the more stressed we eat, the more we're depleted we are, the more we're stressed we become. So it's that vicious loop, that vicious circle that we're kind of at a loss until we break that cycle, if it's through supplementation or, flotation tanks, magnesium salt bath, magnesium sprays. It's hard to get out of that where it's such a needed mineral for our nervous system first and foremost.
Absolutely. And a few things I'll add on to that, like even caffeine intake and tea, tannins in tea can lose your magnesium. And you're spot on, because when you're stressed, what do? You're probably drinking more coffee to stay awake, to get you going. And unfortunately, it's affecting sleep. And it's just this cycle that you go into that we need to break. And you're spot on, because the more stressed you are, you lose that magnesium, and then you're losing it in other ways. And another thing, it's sugar and processed foods. And so what do you do when you're stressed? That's the go-to, unfortunately.
Even quite common with people that wake up, they'll have their coffee, have their 4 or 5 supplements, and then they'll go to work. And that's the worst thing we can be doing. So it's an education around when it is best to take magnesium. And a lot of people do take supplements with caffeine. Like we know it not only leaches and affects magnesium absorption, but, vitamin D, calcium, or other essential, B vitamins in our system as well.
So true. Absolutely. And we always get into like an automated way of living, and we go, right, I've just got to maybe just supplement. But then it's looking at the whole picture, because there's no point just supplementing if you're going to lose it at the same time, and not even dealing with the stress at the same time. Yeah.
Obviously, when there's other therapies become important, of rewiring our brain chemicals, so counseling, psychology, all those other factors. It's not just nutrition. It's our mindset around positive thinking, positive reinforcements. Because if we're stuck in that negative loop, we're always going to be glass half empty unless we change our process and how we look at life. And those other therapies are really essential for that as well.
Absolutely. I'd love to know, do you have any fun facts about magnesium that people may not be aware of?
I like to think they're fun facts, but not all magnesiums are the same. So I like to explain it as exercise is really good, but there's different types of exercise. Someone who's rehabbing an knee injury is not the same doing the same exercise as someone who's rehabbing a shoulder injury. And that's the same with magnesium. Obviously, exercise is good for muscles, endorphins, keeping fit, cardiovascular health. And magnesium does all that in its own sense. It's going to help treat magnesium stores as a whole, but there's different forms of magnesium that have different benefits. So, for example, our magnesium glycinate, which is one of my favorite forms, it's non-laxative, so it's really good for patients that have stomach sensitivities, potentially if they have loose bowels, or don't want to, give them diarrhea. And it's really good for the nervous system. So it's the main one we're good for, anxiety, depression, stress, sleep disturbances. We've got another one called magnesium citrate, which is one of the best forms of magnesium. It's also used for the nervous system, just like a lot of them, but we give it to patients that are constipated, that you want to give them to that nice type for Bristol stool chat, a nice smooth sausage, because it does have a laxative effect. It's really good for muscle cramps as well. So anyone that's got twitches, cramps, stiffness, pain, give it to a lot with athletes, everything like that. And then we've got magnesium threonate, which is really good because it crosses the blood-brain barrier and is really good for neurological improvements. So you'll see it a lot prescribed to patients with, Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive function, because that's the main form of magnesium we give for those patients. Because not all magnesium is the same, once you pick up off the shelf, you might see there's quite a large price discrepancy. You'll see some some retail brands, we won't name names, but there's some retail brands that will spend a lot of their money into marketing and advertising that will use cheaper forms like magnesium oxide. Now, that only has a 4% absorption rate. So it's you'll just pretty much will be excreting it out through your food. It's going to cause really bad diarrhea. People get really bad stomach cramps and they go, I hate magnesium. It doesn't work for me. I always get an upset stomach. Well, you'll see practitioner brands like myself and Dr. Sharmi, the lovely doctors at my clinic, will prescribe practitioner brands because they're better quality forms. They've been prescribed that don't have those potential side effects. They're really well absorbed. They're really gentle on the stomach, and they're at a therapeutic dose for you to see benefits.
I'm so glad you mentioned it, because I was just going to talk about what you can find in a chemist and how easy it is to access it. So why it's so important to know about what's actually great for your body, what you actually need and the different types. It's so important. But also you're spot on, because when you look at some of the products that are available, it's like, wow, I'm getting 800 milligrams of magnesium, but what are you getting? What type? What's actually absorbed is a completely different story. And you're spot on. It takes a while to find a magnesium that you can actually tolerate. So that means, are you actually getting the benefits of it? And so often people just don't realize the benefits of it because they've tried something over the counter. So you've made some amazing points there. 2 things that I learned about magnesium that I did not know until I dived deeper into it: how it's needed by vitamin D to be activated, and how it's needed by even vitamin B6 to be activated. And then also what I say to patients is insulin needs it. Insulin needs it to drive sugar into the cells. And so when we go deeper and deeper, it's amazing what it's needed. And then when you look at the whole picture of today's world of how we're living, we're losing magnesium, we're on a low magnesium. No wonder there's anxiety. No wonder there's insulin resistance. No wonder there's insomnia. And I often think magnesium, the miracle mineral here, that's what we're missing.
Speaking of, diabetes and blood sugar, there was actually clinical trials done in 2015 that 48% of patients with type 2 diabetes actually had low levels of magnesium.
Wow.
Yeah. And that when they did supplement, I don't know the exact dose they supplemented, but it did improve their body's ability to regulate their blood sugar levels post-clinical trial.
That's incredible. And that's what I'd love to lead on, when people go, it's a mineral, it's a vitamin, is there any evidence for it? And there's actually a ton of research behind it. But I love what you shared about insulin. Is there any other evidence that you would love to share for magnesium?
I mean, I mainly, like I said, the mental health components. So I obviously use it a lot for, not just at night for sleep, but obviously people are stressed and anxious throughout the day. So I'm that type of practitioner that will generally give it twice a day just to help alleviate the stress levels in the morning. So you can get a good night's sleep, but also help with to take the edge off at the end of the night. But there was studies done in, once again, 2015. In fact, clearly had a lot of good trials there.
Yes.
Study. It was 126 participants. They took just a low dose of 248 milligrams of magnesium. They did reduce their severity of depression, anxiety, improve their magnesium status. It could also really help with tossing and turning at night. That keeps a lot of people awake. That it does help you get into deep REM sleep. Obviously, if you're tossing and turning or waking up, a lot of people's physical stress. So stress in general can come out physically. They just think it's mental. So obviously, when you just help calm the nervous system, and it can help regulate our neurotransmitters such as GABA, which we need for sleep and stress and anxiety. So it works on a lot of different pathways from a neurological standpoint, which is just really, really lovely. And when people are deficient, I'm sure like you've seen, when you give them some magnesium, it's quite effective quite quickly. It's kind of such a calming aspect. They've been so depleted for so long that when they take it for a couple of days, they can really notice a difference physically and mentally. But I think it's a good positive thing. So when they know they can feel it's working, they go, oh no, I feel better. And then they're more likely to continue taking it to prevent themselves getting back to that standpoint of being anxious, being depressed, sleep issues. So I think most people, let's be honest, can benefit from magnesium. It's in some aspects in their life. So it's a wonderful mineral.
Amazing, amazing. So Alex, I'd love to know if you've got any great patient stories to share that they've been on the journey with you, and how nutrition, nutrients, obviously lifestyle changes can transform the way you feel.
So magnesium is not only taken, like I said at the start, in a supplement. You can take it not only in like a supplement in regards to a powder, it can be taken in a capsule, a tablet. There's also great research to show, flotation tanks, magnesium salt baths. I've had a client that she didn't know she was kicking in her sleep, and her husband was like, oh my God, if you kick me one more time in the 5 years of being married, they're like, I can't handle it. A couple of days, I said, go to a flotation tank, get a massage, start her on a supplement of magnesium glycinate. And he actually messaged me and then he goes, thank you for making my wife in her sleep. So she had no idea. Some people weirdly just have unaware of their sleep at night. So she was sleeping fine, but subconsciously he was not happy, even though he's happily married. So that was probably one of the quickest turnaround I have seen from a chronic tosser and turner and kicker. And then just other ones, just educating people of trusting you with your education or research. I've had a client she was like, I'm not taking a magnesium supplement. She was so adamant on taking it from the side effects that she experienced from taking maybe magnesium oxides and a couple of retail brands. So it took me a week or two to convince her, show her some research, gave her a little sample. I was like, take it for a couple of days. I'm not going to charge you 4 weeks worth. Here's 3 days. See how you go, come back. And I said, if you don't get any symptoms, like I knew she wouldn't. And then she completely changed her life around regards to her nervous system. A lot of it was just chronic magnesium deficiency, and that just affected all aspects, from her hormones, struggling to lose weight, sleep, agitated, stress. So that one was a good one of just someone trusting you, that you having the research and knowledge to back it up. And she's seen incredible results through obviously my treatment, but her trusting me, doing it, believing in the process finally. But it was a good one of just educating. At the end of the day, our patients shouldn't need to see us, to educate them enough that they don't need our help in the future. And she trusted that process, which was really impressive.
That's amazing. I love those kind of stories. And I love to do a quick recap, all the benefits of magnesium. And when I think about that, I go, pretty much every condition that comes through my door needs magnesium, like from sleep to mental health to even trying to lose weight to insulin resistance to, you mentioned a really good point, actually, PMS, premenstrual symptoms, period pain. And the list actually is endless. It literally is. And even energy, a lot of people have very low energy and they're trying to work out what's going on. And sometimes it's just magnesium. Obviously, there's so many other reasons for low energy where you need to get your bloods done and have a look at B12 iron and vitamin D. But often it can be magnesium. And I often think so many patients come to see me and I go, wow, that's a classic case of magnesium deficiency. And that's all they needed. It was as simple as that. And so it is quite the miracle mineral that not many people talk about, funnily enough.
Yeah, it's almost this forgotten one. It's sad in that sense because it does so much. And even for, like you said, PMS, like as simple as magnesium spray on the stomach can really help just young girls with their stomach cramps. And because it bypasses your digestive system, goes straight through to, that muscle, that skin, they can just be really as simple as magnesium spray or a foot soak, people with, lower leg cramps and soreness from standing all day if they've got a standing job. So it doesn't have to be an expensive supplement. There are, like I said, some forms that are quite expensive, but there's some relatively cheaper practitioner ones that people can utilise. And it can be used as, like I said, as preventative, but also in a treatment acutely as well. It's unfortunate that it's forgotten, but hopefully with you guys at Mink Clinic and myself and other practitioners, we kind of bring it to the forefront. There's still stress and anxiety still on the rise post-COVID, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Amazing. Alex, thank you so much for your time today. It was a great snippet about magnesium, a great reminder for many of my listeners. Before we let you go, where can people find you?
So I consult purely online at the moment. So you can find me on the Mink Clinic with the Work With Us section. All my details are there. Or you can give me a call on 0401 847 624.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Alex. Remember that this is general advice only. Please see your healthcare professional for more information. So what's your take-home message today? Remember, it's all about progress and not perfection. And are you suffering from stress? Visit the Usawa Learning Hub on usawa.com.au for more resources on how to de-stress, re-energize, and reclaim your health. Enjoy the journey.